So you want to know how to blow up as a graphic designer, even if you don't have no experience. So in this video, I'm going to exactly outline to you how I grew from a small following to over 40,000 followers on Instagram alone in less than a year. And in that time, I reached millions of views and scaled my design business to more than 5 figures in monthly profit, all without any prior experience. So if you've been following my journey on Instagram and TikTok, you've seen how I went from, not having a business at all, being a student and not knowing what to do after my degree was finished, to now having a business that's doing 5 figures a month. And I did that at the back of creating content and making concept designs and making designs that brands would eventually buy. Like I said, I've been able to gather, millions of views and followers, etc. But I've been able to scale to 5 figures monthly, which is more impressive than just getting followers just for the sake of getting followers. Okay, you don't want to get followers, you want your followers to kind of reflect in your bank account as well. So let's just jump straight into it. We're gonna go over a few stuff that is gonna be really helpful if you're a designer that's starting out or a designer that's established that hasn't been able to scale to 5 figures a month. Don't just be a graphic designer, be a designpreneur. Being a designpreneur means thinking beyond design. It's about business, branding, and systems. So the reason why many designers or creatives are not able to make an income and live off their creative skill set is simply because they position themselves as being freelance, designers, freelance creatives, and they position themselves as being cheap and being affordable. That, of course, in a niche, you have people like myself that position themselves as being, premium, and they don't have to chase clients. They have clients chasing them. You're not gonna survive if you position yourself as being just, any freelance design. Okay, you have to position yourself as being an entrepreneur that is using their skill set to make an income. Therefore, a designpreneur, and that's the reason why I called my upcoming course Designpreneur Blueprint, because I want you guys to understand that you should make the transition from being just a creative, a graphic designer per se, to being a designpreneur, which is a big difference. Because as an entrepreneur that is using design as the outlet of making an income, you have systems, you have branding about you. Your service and your personal brand is perceived as being premium. Okay, so you're attracting the clients, you're not chasing the clients, and clients are willing to work with you because everybody else is working with you and everybody's seeing how well you're doing. So there's a big difference. Like, it's two completely different avatars, and that's what I realized as well when I started out. I used to position myself as being just a freelance, graphic designer, like many others out there. But then when I made the transition from just a graphic designer to a designpreneur, and treating this not as a creative project but treating it as a business project, everything changed for me. Okay, so that's very, very key. You have to make that transition. So on to the next point. Creativity is the new currency. This game is about selling creativity, not just design. Apply creativity to content and start a trend. Like I mentioned earlier, I've been able to build this whole designpreneur business at the back of me making concept designs. But I just didn't make concept designs like many people were making before. I was really creative, not just with the design, but with the content as well. I started showing my face. I added, captions that were very intriguing. Yes, I was approaching design, but the concept per se to every little detail. The only way for you to stand out of all the designers that are trying to make an income is you should be really, really creative, and you should approach this with the maximum creativity level that you can, not just with your design, but in everything else that you do. And if you notice, like even on my stories, the way I post, the way I interact with people, I always try to kind of be creative without being, corny and being forceful about it. So meaning, if designers are doing this thing, you just do the opposite and trying to stand out, and people will recognize that. And to this day, I have clients that reach out to me and say, "You literally the blueprint for many designers because your style, the way you go about even posting your stories, many people out there just copy." Okay, so you really want to kind of be creative, not just with your designs, which is great being creative about how you create your composition, etc. But you should be creative also about the content creation side, how you caption stuff, how you post, how you come across. So everything should reflect the creativity, because creativity is the new currency. So approach everything that you do with the maximum level of creativity. So another key factor that I noticed in designers and even in myself when I was starting out is that I was very slow and I wasn't streamlined. I didn't have systems that made me streamlined. For example, I used to kind of like jump on calls all the time, but you will quickly learn that jumping on calls will just really slow down your workflow. You jumping on calls with your clients, etc., is not essential for you to complete a project. They could have just texted what they wanted to say on a call. Nowadays, I have systems that make me very streamlined in my process, in the way I deliver my work. The old way of running stuff is outdated. That would just really slow down your workflow. And for you to be able to scale to the 5 figures mark, you really have to be streamlined. You really have to be able to manage the high volume of requests that come your way. So if you have the old way in which you go about completing your client work, communication within your designpreneur business, you're really going to slow down your workflow and you really struggle to scale to the 5 figures mark. Okay. Take a new approach when it comes to your designpreneur business. Make sure everything that you do is done quickly, streamlined, and with urgency. That's what makes a difference between a premium and a cheap service. Okay, now I'm also to the content side, which is I think is the main thing that designers don't really understand, or they don't see the purpose of posting a certain content compared to posting a different type of content, and also the mentality that they should have about posting content when maybe they don't get views or when they start getting a little bit of attraction as well. Okay, consistency wins. You're one viral content away from a successful design business. That's exactly what I've been for myself and for many people that I coach as well. By the way, I have a link in the description. If you really want to go from a graphic designer, freelance designer to a designpreneur, definitely check the link in the description. Back to the video. One content is literally what it took for me to have a successful business. So if you go on my Instagram, one of my most viewed video has more than 1 million views. And that exact video, till this day, that piece of content brings me client. I have clients, prospects reaching out all the time, telling me that they saw that video and they want to work with me because that design is so good. It happens all the time. But not only that content brought me loads of clients, even the videos that performed that did relatively good, 10,000, 20,000, even videos and reels that posted that did 5,000. I'm going to explain why I say those low views going to bring in clients as well. So if somebody's sticking out to watch your video and the design that you post, is interested in the niche or he has some type of relationship with design, meaning they're a graphic designer themselves, or they run a clothing brand, which is the niche that service and the clients that service, or they need a design. Nobody that is not interested in design per se just watch design for entertainment. Like very few people do that. So all the views that you see, maybe even like 5,000 views, 2,000 views, those are very targeted and very niche clients and prospects that are watching your video. You having like 5,000 views is loads of eyeballs, of people that actually might be interested in your content. So never see your content as, if it doesn't go crazy viral, then you're not able to get clients off it. I have videos that when I was starting out, 5,000 views, and they were used to bring me loads of clients. Okay. Going back to kind of like the title of this chapter of the video, consistency wins. Once you understand that as well, it becomes easier to post because you won't see, not going viral every time that you post as, wasting your time. No, you see it as building your designpreneur business, as building your personal brand. And once I internalize the fact that, it really takes just one video to do well for me to have a successful design business, it was easy for me to be consistent. Okay. So hopefully this video has been insightful and has given you a few gems to take away and apply for your designpreneur business.